Aloha. Good evening. This is Andrew Aloha live out of Flagstaff, Arizona with Spiritual Image Productions on Facebook Live. I'm having some difficulty with my sinuses right now. But that's besides the point. It's kind of overcast and I don't know, there's probably pollen going around and stuff. So I guess I could have waited another day or two, but actually I couldn't because I wanted to get this out. I wanted to get this off my chest. But that's besides the point. Anyhow, I wanted to just kind of tap into some stuff that I've been coming across lately. And first of all, the Wesak festival is probably one of the most. It's going to be on the full moon of this month, which I think is going to be on the 25th or 26th. I'm not sure. But if you keep posted, I'm going to be putting out postings out there about the meditation that I'm going to be doing on Wesak Day, which will probably be in the afternoon from 2 to 4 p.m. And it'll be 2 hours. And so it's considered the most vibrant, the most highest energy full moon of the year when Buddha comes down and passes down his blessings to all his disciples, and they turn around, pass those blessings on to everybody else around the world, and so on and so on. So if you want to get in on this meditation, first of all, I would recommend, I believe I have it on there somewhere, on the right hand side or on the bottom. I put in I put in the YouTube video address for the introduction to that I did for this meditation, so that way you can properly do it and it'll be safe and you won't have to go through any weird stuff going on. And then I also put the address for the page for the transmission meditation page, and that'll give you details, and there you can find the Great Evocation. You can find an ebook by Benjamin Creme, Transmission Meditation for the New Age, and you can turn around and actually that would be a good idea to read that as well if you can before the meditation, because that'll give you some additional insights by Benjamin Creme, and that'll give you the more authentic details and insights on doing the meditation so that you can do it properly. And then the introduction that I give you some some details in terms of the way that I do it, because it's different from all the other groups out there. And it's not that that's any better or worse a group to meditate with. It's just that it's just different compared to all the other meditation groups out there. That's besides the point. So anyhow, if you want to go ahead and tap into that, again, go to the page, go to the video, go to the ebook, and read the ebook, and listen to the video. That will help you get it. By the time you get done with all that, you should have a really good understanding in terms of how to do that meditation. Now, I don't know when I'll be doing my next video. So, and since I've been doing them about every 3, 4, 5 weeks, I want to go ahead and send out blessings and love and light to all the mothers out there for Mother's Day next Sunday, which is going to be the 12th of May. So I want to send you all kinds of love out there, and hopefully your families will take you out to lunch or dinner, so you won't have to cook and wash dishes. For those of you that that seem to do all the chores in the house, but that's beside the point. Or even some of them, that's the point. And mothering, just to let you know, mothering is not necessarily an easy chore, and a lot of women have a hard time with it. But it's also one of the greatest services you can do. Being a parent, father or mother, is one of the greatest services that you can do. Bearing a child is an amazing service that you can do for your kids, for people, for humanity, for yourself. And so I don't wish it upon people to go out and be a mother, because it's not an easy job, but I also encourage you to be the best that you can be as a mother. No matter what the situation is, just be you, and I think you'll be fine, whatever the situation is. So now, the next subject that I want to get into is a song called "Me" by Taylor Swift. Now, I thought about this, and I watched that video, and I was just blown away. I just so blown away. The first 5 or 6 hours, it had over 20 million views of the video when she launched it a few days ago, about a week ago or so. And I just happened to be on Instagram, and she was announcing that she had just launched it, like within minutes. And I went and viewed it, and and then I went back, and I was doing other stuff, and I went and viewed it again, and I just couldn't believe it. 5 hours, 6 hours later, she had 21 million views of that song within that 5, 6 hours. I just couldn't believe it. It was just mind-boggling. And I would say that this woman just doesn't cease to amaze me, but it also doesn't surprise me, and I'll tell you why in a second. I believe Vivo said that that she just broke a record in terms of the amount of people viewing that song, that video. 100 was it 165 or 65 million? Here, I'll check here in a second, but because I believe, if I remember right, it's I just checked it just now, and I believe it was at 128 million. So within 24 hours, I think Vivo said that her song had come out within 24 hours. 65 million plus people had viewed her. Wow. And they said that she had broke a record, and that I believe the only other two people that came close to was Ariana Grande was the person that had the record prior to, at 55 million views, and then Adele. Now, don't quote me on this, but Adele had, I think, 35 or 38 million views prior to, and then check this out, and then Taylor Swift had, I don't know, several million, 20 million people that viewed it. She had broken a record as well prior to, and then she had broken another. Hang on a second. I'm looking this up right now as we speak. She had broken another record with another one of her songs. Those three were have been the highest holding records so far of views on YouTube. on Vivo. And right now, on 6 days, 6 days. She's only 6 days into the making of this, releasing this song, "Me." And if you go, and I put the YouTube address for it if you want to go check it out. But it's just incredibly dynamic. It's incredibly colorful, and it's incredibly Aquarian. Now, what I'm going to say about this is that it doesn't surprise me that of the accomplishments that she's doing, because I'm almost 100% sure that she's what you call a fourth ray soul, four ray energy soul. Now, if you don't know anything about this, you can look this up for yourself. You can go to the Alice Bailey works. You can go to Benjamin Creme, who talks about rays. There's 7 main energies in the universe. 7 main rays. They call them rays. There's what you call the 7th ray. Well, the first ray, energy of will and power. The second ray, and that has to do with institutions like prisons and jails and systems. I think Capricorn energy is connected to that. Lawyers and maybe judges are connected to anything that has to do with power and will is connected to what you call the first ray energy, or first ray of light. And then the second ray energy has to do with love and wisdom. Anything that has to do with love and wisdom, philosophy, probably teachers are connected to that. And maybe the clergy to some extent, but the clergy, which is Piscean age energy, which is 6th ray energy, has to do with devotion. But the opposite of that is obsession. So the 6th ray energy is connected to the age of Pisces, monogamy, devotion, obsession, the color blue, the number 6. So and the clergy, anything that has to do with obsession or devotion is what you call 6th ray energy. And well, I'll go ahead and backtrack first to the 3rd ray energy, which has to do with active intelligence, hospitals, health, anything that has to do with health. Number green, the color green, the number 3, it has to do with the 3rd ray energy stuff. And 4th ray energy has to do with musicians, with artists, beauty and harmony through conflict. Now, I happen to have one of those ray. I happen to have 3 ray energy, and also what you call 4th ray energy in my what you call let me see. Years ago, Benjamin Creme used to do these. I don't want to say chart. It's something, but it's kind of like astrology. He would put together this chart for you, and you would ask him, well, what are my rays? And he would say, and he would go back in the back, and then he'd come out and hand you a paper with your rays on it. And my soul ray happens to be a 2 ray. All of the people on this planet have what you call 2 ray souls. In fact, this whole solar system is what you call a 2 ray solar system. So therefore, most of the people that are on this planet, and probably in this galaxy is my guess, have what you call 2 ray souls. Again, love and wisdom. And then there's a personality soul, and I believe my personality soul ray energy is fourth ray. Again, And that's associated, again, with the number 4, with musicians. I don't know if it's artists or not, but I believe a lot of musicians or talented people are associated with fourth ray energy. And then the fifth ray energy has to do with science and technology, and again, Capricorn energy, anything that has to do with computer systems, technology, stuff like that. That's what you call fifth ray energy. And then, of course, sixth ray, and then seventh ray, the age of Aquarius, which we're coming into right now. Actually, we're almost completely in the age of Aquarius. It takes 150 years for our solar system to go from one sign to the next. So the color purple, magic and ceremonial order, the age of Aquarius, number 7 are all associated with seven ray energy. Now, what's happening now is we're almost completely out of the age of Pisces. We've been making that transition for several years, over 100 years, close to 150 years now. I believe in 2025 we will have completed that process of our galaxy, or I should say solar system, going from the age of Pisces completely into the age of Aquarius. I'm almost 100% sure about that. And if you go back and read the Alice Bailey works, Esoteric Healing, Esoteric Psychology 1, and Esoteric Astrology, you'll be able to figure that out with that. And so, anyhow, we're completely, and what's happening is a lot of these six-ray energy people are leaving the planet. In fact, for the last several years, people have been dying off, if you notice, just like left and right. But they're leaving because the age of Pisces is no longer going to be valid in a few years from now. It's no longer going to be prominent or prevalent on this planet and this galaxy, or should I should say this solar system. So in the meantime, the age of Aquarius is going to take it over. In fact, Pluto will be going into Aquarius in March 2023, which I think is going to even heighten this energy even more. So in March 2023, I believe there's going to be a huge celebration, huge, like planetary huge, and it's going to be, that celebration is going to last for heavily for the 2023, and then it's going to continue thereafter for several years. Pluto is going to be transiting Aquarius for about 17 years, 15 to 17 years. So there's going to be a lot of Aquarius stuff going on for several years after that. And so it's going to be interesting to see how this is going to go. In the meantime, again, the six-ray energy people are leaving, but what's happening is for several years now, four-ray energy people have been coming in and replacing those people. And I believe, again, we're talking about talented people, beauty and harmony through conflict. So what I think is going on is Taylor Swift, I believe, is a four-ray soul, and she's probably one of the, I'm not saying that she's one of the first, because I think it's been, they've been trickling in for several years now, and she happens to be one of the main mouthpieces for these four-ray energies, four-ray people. That's why she has such a big following. And even Elvis Presley, I believe he was a four-ray soul as well. Again, we're talking about a soul, not a personality. There could be four-ray body types. There could be four-ray emotional types, emotional body types. There could be four-ray physical body types, and then mental there could be 4-ray mental capability body types. So anyhow, there's 5 ray structures that compose a person. There's the soul, the personality, the physical body, the emotional body, and the spiritual body, I believe. We're not physical. Oh no, the mental body. And so again, my personality energy is a 4-ray personality type. And so on numerous occasions, I don't even have to try, and trouble just comes right at me, right? It's like that. And I believe that even Taylor Swift herself, she's gone through a lot of stuff, but it's on a soul level. And she's gone through a lot of maybe frustrations, I think maybe is a good way to put it, that people don't even know about. I'm sure of it. Maybe a handful of people might know about some of these frustrations, and maybe only 1 or 2 or nobody knows about some of these others. But they're on a soul level, not just on an emotional, physical level or whatever. And again, I've said this before, and she says it in what's that song? Shake It Off. She says, I can't stop this music coming into my mind. I believe that's what she says, and which tells me she's clairsentient. She gets probably she may actually get a lot of these songs either auditorily, or she may actually hear them, and then she also probably gets pictures of these songs, and she just puts it together, and it's nothing for her to throw it together. Boom, just like that. And they're masterpieces. But now what other people don't realize is that with the concept of incarnating or reincarnation, if you want to call it that, but incarnating from one life to another, you practice different skills. You learn different things every lifetime. You learn how to be a doctor. So Mozart, who has been playing music for years and years, lifetimes and lifetimes, of course, when he comes in, he's a genius. Yeah, people goes, oh yeah, he's a prodigy. Well, no, he's been learning how to play this music over several lifetimes, and when he gets to this lifetime, boom, he's a genius. He's already mastered it. And it's the same thing with Taylor Swift. She's been a musician in other lifetimes. I'm sure of it. I can almost guarantee you 100%. And who knows? She might even be Mozart incarnated. I don't know. But that's besides the point. So what's more important is to understand that I believe she's a four-ray soul, just like Elvis Presley was. And there's a lot of beings out there that are four-ray souls, and there's going to be more and more coming of these people coming in. So the music industry is just going to. People think, oh yeah, it's saturated. Oh, you don't even know how far this is going to go. Not even for a second. It's going to be. I believe it's going to be just phenomenal in the years to come, especially when we finally get completely into the age of Aquarius in 2025, and then when Pluto goes into Aquarius in 2023 March, it's just going to blow you away. I think it's just going to be phenomenal. It's going to be out of this world. The creativity, the stuff that's going to be going on. And again, I talked about time travel, and they don't talk about this. Actually, one guy mentions it somewhat, but he says that robots are going to take over, and they're going to do the house cleaning, all the basic stuff, a lot of the basic manual labor stuff, and why? So it can free us up to be more creative, and so the creative juices are just going to be a lot more intense than they are now. And maybe they have been really intense over the years, but we haven't even scratched the surface yet. I don't think so. Just it's going to be like when you watch if you've ever watched Star Trek, in one of those episodes, they have these kids that are playing these instruments, and they're playing them by themselves. The instruments are playing themselves. All they're doing is thinking about what they want to play, and the instrument just plays itself. It's going to be just like that, and more. It's just going to be so amazing. So I think a lot more exciting times are headed our way. People, there's some crap that we're processing through right now. Yeah, that's part of the process. But you know, the hurricane always hits before the calm and the peace and the love, right? We haven't got there yet. Back in the '80s when it was there was a lot of juices flowing through, and then all of a sudden all this crap started coming down the pipe, and so now we're going down here. Well, I think I don't know if we hit bottom yet, but we're either close to it or we're already there, and we can only go up, right? Up. So the stuff that's getting ready to happen, it's going to be just out of this world, phenomenal. So you'll see what I'm talking about when we get there. But the fun is just getting ready to begin. It hasn't even started yet. I'm sure of it. It hasn't even started yet. And maybe with this "Me" song by Taylor Swift, maybe that's gonna crank it up and start to crank things up and really get things going. Again, she broke a record, 65 million views plus within 24 hours. That's phenomenal. That's out of this world. Just totally out of this world. Um, so anyhow, there's a lot more people out there that are four-ray energies, four-ray souls, four-ray personalities. I don't know what the four-ray physical body types look like. I don't know that I've seen those yet. Four-ray emotions, emotional vehicle. Again, beauty and harmony. They'll throw a fit, and then all of a sudden this change happens, and then all of a sudden people are just like, wow, blown away because of all the stuff that changed. Yeah, and usually change happens. So we're getting ready to go through still a lot more change. It ain't over yet, and change will never stop. It's like a locomotive. It just doesn't stop. It just keeps going, right? It plows through anything and everything. Mother Nature will destroy a whole country in a heartbeat, and not even think twice about it if she wants to, right? So it's just like that. So it don't matter how intelligent or how advanced we are. There's there's still Mother Nature out there. Um, with that in mind, Neptune being in its height, in its energy of its energy in Pisces, again, Pisces has to do with devotion, institutions, obsession, the color blue, the number 6. But also, I learned that Pisces also has to do with the paranormal. If you have Pisces in your chart, I can guarantee you 100% almost that you've seen a ghost or sensed a ghost or picked up a ghost. Some kind of paranormal activity has happened in your life at some point or another. And if it hasn't happened yet, you must be a really young person, like 5 years old. And even at 5 years old, there's still people still pick up paranormal stuff. So I guarantee you, if you have Pisces in your chart, you're going to have a really amazing time this year, and probably for the next 2 or 3 or 4 years. And then things are going to start to wane and chill out and calm down. But you'll see what I'm talking about. Pisces is going to be, the Piscean energy is going to be very creative, very juicy, very, and it's not going to sit still. It's not going to be stagnant. And we're proud of, and just recently, the Navy, they were posting on Facebook that the Navy is changing its criteria in terms of how it reports and UFOs and aliens, and I don't know exactly how what the criteria is, because I didn't really look at it, but the Navy's already making changes this year, and there's going to be a lot more changes coming down the pipe. Again, I told you last video that I watched that time travel video, and I put it on that. If you go to my last video and watch and look on the side, I put the address for the video address for that last time travel video, and this guy seemed really authentic. He confirmed, and I said it a few years ago. I said it. I said that if we don't go into World War III, what was it, back in May 2014 or March 2015, we're probably not going to go into World War III. And Hutton did. He threatened World War III both months, both those months, and it never happened. And I said, if we don't go into World War III, then we're probably not going to go into World War III for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years to come. So, and that's going to be a whole different level. That's besides the point. So anyhow, there's a lot of stuff coming down the pipe. Uranus just went into Taurus, and again, with all the paranormal stuff that's going to be happening for the next few years, in 6 years from now, when Uranus goes into Pisces, I believe it's going to go into Pisces. I don't have my stuff with my experiments with me. I knew I should have brought it with me. But anyhow, when Uranus goes into Pisces, I can guarantee you there's going to be a whole lot more changes with the paranormal in the paranormal department. I can guarantee you almost 100%. So there's going to be a lot of stuff coming down the pipe concerning paranormal activity, 2025 through 2032 or something like that. So we're I don't know that I'll be around that long, but it's going to be really interesting to see all this stuff happen. So relationships. Oh, I've been writing. I started writing a book. I don't know how far I'm going to get or that I'm going to finish. I know that the last book I slowly the last book, the 90-Day Ascension Journey. I slowly did. Oh man, I was sent to Tucson for a year and a half. And I never wrote the book, and then I finally made it back to Flagstaff, and in 2016, a year later, after I finally made it back to Flagstaff, my guidance goes, "You have 2 weeks to write this book." What? 2 weeks to write this book? That's not enough time. I very seldom, when I first started talking to my guys and I started hearing them, they would, I would argue with them. No, I don't want to do this. And then I wouldn't do something or do something differently. And a lot of times I would regret it because I put my foot in my mouth, and that was the end of that conversation. Period. Right? It was just like that. So I finally stopped arguing with them, and I finally started getting enough confirmations out there that I knew what they were saying is true. Truth. And they'd say something, and I ponder it, listen to it, hear it, and then just turn around and just make a note of it, and then boom, something would happen, and it would confirm the information that they gave me. So it's just like that. So anyhow, I decided I wrote this book, And I did. I put everything on hold, everything. I was driving for Uber at the time, Uber and Lyft, and I was working a lot of hours and just keeping busy and doing the radio show. And then finally, I said, okay. So I put the radio show on hold. I put everything on hold, and I just sat down and wrote the book. And literally 2 weeks later, almost to the minute, I finished the book. And as soon as I finished, I took off and started Ubering again, right? So it was like that. So but then it took me like 4 weeks to learn how to format it for Amazon, and then also Kindle. So after writing the book, I had to sit down and figure out how to format it so I can put it on Amazon and then on Kindle. So finally, I figured all that out. And so anyhow, I started this book on relationships. I believe I'm calling it Relationships 101, 202, and the Mastery. And I want to just kind of write just a whole process of beginning to date, well, preparing for dating to begin with, and then going on initial dates, and then processing through and maintaining the relationship, and then going into enlightenment if you want to go into enlightenment as part of that process. So it'll again, I got just this wild hair up my butt, and I said, okay, fine. So because I just kept all this information started coming to me about relationship, and so I just turned around and I formatted it. I kind of put it not highlighted, but outlined it. I got a rough draft of an outline of it, and then and now I guess since I'm going to have plenty of time to play with for the next several days, I might just go ahead and just jump into it and put my nose in there and start going for it. So we'll see how it goes, and I'll go from there. Thanks, Kathy, for stopping by. Appreciate it. Now, and I'll keep you posted. Again, I may not finish this book. Who knows? But if I do it like I did the last time, wow! I'll just like pour into it, and I'll get at least half of it done by next week. I don't know. We'll see. Now going into the critiquing of movies, last few movies, and I finally said, okay, that's enough. I had enough of this, and I turned around and I got Amazon offered me a free subscription to Amazon Prime, and $13 a month, but this is free for the next 3 weeks or so. So anyhow, I said, screw it. I've had enough of Netflix, and I did. I went and jumped on Amazon Prime, and so I've been watching some movies from there and some movies that I like, and also I ended up getting some freebies from Redbox somehow or another, and so one of them was Instant Family with here, I'll tell you in a second. Time out. Mark Wahlberg, Rose Byrne, Isabella Moner, Octavia Spencer, Margot Martindale. Now that if you're a couple and you thought about adopting kids, this is a really good movie for you to watch. And even if you have kids, especially teenagers and younger kids, if you have kids, this is a good movie to watch because even though this is made geared towards adopting, adoption agencies and all that stuff, and gives a lot of ins and outs about how kids act in these foster homes, and so maybe there's a foster kid that might be in your neighborhood, and maybe that might give you better understanding about that person. So, but it was really well done. Mark Wahlberg, this is a good movie for him, and also Rose Byrne. But it was pretty funny. There's a lot of really good funny stuff, and a lot of really good moral of the story type of thing going on. And I highly recommend that movie. Is it Academy Award winning movie? I think it's pretty close. And maybe it is. I don't know. In the comedy section, I don't know. But for those people, for you people that don't know anything about adoptions and so forth, I would recommend watching this movie, and just for the hell of it, and grab some popcorn, grab some soft drinks, or beer or whatever you want to drink, and just kick back and enjoy the ride, because it is a ride. Oh my God, these people are a cracker. Now, let me see. What was the other one that I? Oh, the second act. The second act with let me see. And again, the Instant Family came out last year. Second act, really, with Jennifer Lopez, Leah Remini, Vanessa Hudgens, Treat Williams. It came out last year as well. Again, I got this from Redbox, and that was, women. I think women a lot of times have a hard time in the workplace because they're not treated equal, right? And so I don't know. Sometimes maybe that's a good thing because it keeps them out of trouble or keeps them from getting hurt. If you're in the military, you're in the infantry, and you're a woman, and you go into war, you may not last 5 minutes, literally, and that's the truth. You may be a badass, a tomboy, or whatever, but that doesn't mean that's going to get you through that war. But it's like that. But there's a lot of places where women should be treated equal and should be equal. And Jennifer Lopez makes it very clear about that. So anyhow, it's a kind of slapstick comedy type of thing, and it's funny, and it makes some really good prevalent points about women in the workplace. So if you want a good laugh, again, grab your popcorn, grab your soft drink, grab your soda, whatever, and just enjoy some laugh and some good humor. But know that people are out there and they're thinking, they're conscious, they're conscious beings, and life is not like it used to be anymore. Things are changing, and a lot more changes are on their way. Points to be made. Now, complain about Netflix catering to kids, teenagers, families, for the single person, for the older adults with no kids, for the, whatever, who cares? Maybe I want to go down memory lane about once a year, if even that, and remember my high school years. And not that they were bad necessarily, because I had a lot of really good time. I had a really good time in high school, but that was years ago, and they're over, and it's done and said, right? So I don't need to go back into memory lane for high school. In fact, what we're going in, we're doing high school reunion next year. Do I need to even bother? I think I've only been to 2 high school reunions ever in my life, and the first one was I photographed the whole event and I made a slideshow presentation for it, and I think people liked that. But the second one was, hardly anybody showed up. 25, 35 people. I don't know how many people, but it is what it is. The past is the past. The future is the future. And I like to live in the present, like the here, the now. I like to be in the moment. I don't like to be stuck in the past or the future. I just like to go with the flow and be here, right? So anyhow, talking about changes. So going back to Netflix. Netflix finally put out a documentary called "Knock Down the House," and it just came out literally like yesterday. It's a documentary about Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Amy Vilela, Cori Bush, Paula Jean Sranjan, and all these women running for office, and I think 3 of them, all except Alexandria, they call her VOC, for short, but all of them except her lost, and so and if you go and follow her, look at some of her interviews. She has some really down to earth, commonsensical messages and ideals. I think she considers herself a democratic socialist. Is that bad or good? I don't know. Socialism, is it bad or good? Democracy, is it bad or good? It's in the eye of the beholder and what you do with it. It's like a gun. Is a gun bad or good? If you utilize it in the proper professional way, then it serves its purpose and it's fine. But if you don't, if you abuse it, if you abuse power, then where does that lead you to? What good does that serve anyone? Right? So it's just like that. So anyhow, it was a very interesting documentary that was done while these women were running, not after the fact. And at the very end, because Alexandria's father dies in the process, and she goes to the White House. She wins, right? Kind of reminds me of my own dad, right? So he passed away several years ago, but that's the point. So anyhow, she goes to the White House and she talks about how her and her dad and 3 other guys do a road trip. She goes, Dad, I want to go on the road trip. So he gives in, caves in, and takes her on the road trip. And they stop by the White House, right? And they talk about it, and she reminisces and that, and she connects to that whole energy, that whole feeling, and she says, her dad tells her, I want you to make me proud. I don't know all the exact words, but that was the gist of it. And she cries and she releases, and she really connects with where she's at now and where she was when she was then. And I have a sense that she's probably a 4-ray soul as well. I think it's a good possibility. It wouldn't surprise me. A lot of 4-ray souls, a lot of 4-ray personality types. What do they like to do? They like to go just jump in the bra and have at it, right? Like that. And then they come out smiling, with his big old smile, and everybody's all of a sudden getting along for a change, like they haven't in years. How'd that happen? Just like that. That's what forays do. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Snowden. Actually, this was the second time I watched it with Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Shailene Woodley, Tom Wilkinson, Nicolas Cage, and then Edward Snowden, who's now assumably living in Russia with his girlfriend, probably his wife. And so that was an interesting story based on true events, and I remember this back years ago when we talked about the Patriot Act and how the CIA and all these undercover agencies or whatever were tapping into everyone's business, everyone on the planet. And did they have a right to? No, they didn't. They still don't. According to the Privacy Act, I guess. But again, according to that time travel video, a lot of this is going to go away. Diseases are going to go away. A lot of this privacy stuff is going to go away because you're not going to be able to hide anything anymore. Robots are going to be there, and they're going to keep an eye. They're going to be keeping an eye on everybody, and they already have the cameras. They already have the planes, drones spying on everybody, and drones killing, terrorists and all kinds of stuff. And it's going to be even more intense. There's going to be even more government intervention or invasion of privacy. It's going to be even more thicker than that. Now, let me see what the ugly truth. I'm actually watching that again, but I've already watched it. With Jared Butler and Catherine Hagel, who this guy Jared has he has his own show called The Ugly Truth, and he talks about women, and it's like he's completely just. It's like it sounds like he's completely just throwing them down and throwing them to the wolves and just berating them. But if you listen to what he's saying, he's being truthful. He's being honest. He's telling people, people don't want to look at themselves. They don't want to look in the mirror. They don't want to look at their actions. They don't want to look at their behavior. They don't want to look at the relationships. Why? Because they don't want to be scared. They don't want to be ashamed. They don't want to feel stupid or whatever, And so anyhow, in this process, he helps the one of the news producers because and this takes place in Sacramento. This whole show shot there, I believe. And so anyhow, one of the news agencies is losing ratings, so they bring him in to help jack up the ratings, right? And so the producer, Catherine Hagel, is having a hard time. She hasn't been laid in months, 11 months, right? But she hasn't been involved with anybody, and she's having a hard time getting back into the groove. And then all of a sudden, the next door, there's a doctor that moves in, and she has a house for him, and they have this ego war going on initially, and then finally, she caves in. She goes, oh, okay, fine. She goes, whoa, you know what you're talking about. So anyhow, he has these rules, 4 things people should do when they initially go out with a new partner. Don't criticize the person. Laugh at whatever they say. Dress for easy access. Maybe you might want to just do a one-night stand. Who knows what all your styles are for sexual behavior, and not that it's bad or good or in between or whatever, but in case you get hot and bothered and you say, oh, okay, I'm in. I'd like to go ahead and just just play around and see what happens. So and along with that, he says, don't put your hair up in ponytails, because it either means that or suggests that you're operating heavy machinery, or you're emptying a cat litter box. So if you want to be in the groove, if you want to be there and be present with your date, let your hair hang down, duh. So anyhow, and of course the last one suggestion, the last rule that he has is don't talk about your problems. Never talk about your problems. So it's like that. So anyhow, what do I want to say? It's a topsy-turvy movie, and they go through these spats, and then all of a sudden they go through these connections, and then at the very end, guess what happens? Keep guessing, because you're going to have to watch the show for the rest. But that's the best part. Anyhow, Starship Troopers. I watched that, and again, that's an older movie with Casper Van Dien, Dina Meyer, Denise Richards, Amy Smart, Michael Ironside, Neil Patrick Harris. That's an older movie, and again, a lot of the older movies just seem to be more present than the new ones. New ones are just bent on making money. A lot of times they're bent on just getting that new technology for that fight scene, or that action scene or whatever. They're just not present like, and even the Captain Marvel with Brie Larson. I went and watched that at the movie theater, and is it Academy Award winning? Well, it's got a lot of action. Okay, it's got some. Now the thing that I like about watching those movies is the technology that they have. That they have a lot. They usually have a lot of technology that's very interesting to. And you wonder, where do they get these ideas about these technologies? Where do they come from? You got to wonder and think about, well, where did it come from? Where did they come up with these ideas? You got to come from somewhere, right? Who knows? Time travel, psychic medium, master or saint. Who knows? Dreams. There's a lot of potentiality. So anyhow, and even the Avengers Endgame, I still haven't gone to watch that. They said it's a 3-hour movie. I don't, again, how many heroes can you have, right? People, need to learn how to be their own heroes, and they're not teaching people how to be their own heroes. And that's the problem with all these Marvel bullshit movies, right? There's some interesting, again, technologies and stuff, and interesting powers. Maybe there's some interesting powers that people have, but inevitably we have to save ourselves. We can't. All these beings aren't going to just come out here and save us. All these masters and saints, aren't just going to come out and save us. It's just not going to work that way, right? We have to save ourselves, learn how to save ourselves, because if we don't, we're not going to survive. That's just the bottom line. We're not going to survive at all. And we have to learn how to save ourselves in the utmost, how would you say, humbling ways, I believe is a good phrase. So, just like a girlfriend that I had years ago, she was codependent personality type, and finally I made her take responsibility for herself. And it's not that I made her. I wouldn't. How would you say? I wouldn't deal with her unless she did that, and she finally did. And I don't know that she broke out of that codependency personality energy, but I think that she did a major stride in that direction and breaking free from all that. Anyhow, Starship Troopers. Oh, the Big Sick. I just couldn't resist. I had to watch that again. I've already watched that, and I think I've already talked about that. It's actually based on true events. This comedian from East India, but I think he was born in the United States, if I remember right. But they have all these, these East Indians have all these cultural things going on, and he just doesn't seem to mesh. He just doesn't seem to click with the old standards, the old traditions. So he just turns the tables around, and he meets this. I believe he's married to her now, his wife, and heckling him in the audience, and so it's funny. It's just a really good, interesting movie about cultural differences, especially if you don't know anything about East Indian and so forth, or anything about New Yorkers, or people from the East Coast. It's like that. So, Charlie Bartlett. What the hell is it? Anton Yelchin, Robert Downey Jr. Oh, Hope Davis, Kat Dennings. This kid, actually probably a prodigy, and I believe his father. I don't think it actually said necessarily, but his father got thrown in prison for some kind of tax evasion or doing something, with the books. And so anyhow, he spends a lot of time with himself, but he spends a lot of time learning all kinds of stuff, learning how to be an entrepreneur, and so he becomes I think a psychiatrist, a child psychiatrist, right? Of course, he doesn't got his license for it, but that's the best point. So people are lined up to have a session with him in the bathroom, and somehow he ends up prescribing medications too, which is huge downfall, right? But he helps a lot of people, and he's in the right direction, but he just doesn't have that complete professional training like a lot of people do for doing that type of stuff. Anyhow, and then the principal happens to be his girlfriend's father, so that brings up a whole drama in and of itself. And so anyhow, and then there's some story behind the principal. There's a whole history behind him. So they kind of connect, and then things kind of just work out. But anyhow, Fight Flight's Up. Oh, that that was a good movie. I like it. It's for older people, but I don't know. A lot of people connect with older people, so it could connect with you. Let me see. Hang on. Charlie Bartlett is actually an older show, 2008. And then 2014 is when Fight Flight Up was released. Morgan Freeman, Diane Keaton, and Cynthia Nixon. And it's kind of baffling because they want to move just because their apartment is 5 flights up, right? And the apartment they finally decided to move to has elevator, right? So it makes it easy for them to get to their place. And in the meantime, they're looking for this place to move to, and there's a whole hostage situation going on there, right near where they're at. They're in New York, and and then finally, you know, I mean, to me, I was just baffled. I was just scratching my head. Why do these people want to move? You know, spend $1 million to move to somewhere, and then they're going to get paid $1 million for the apartment. Why do they even want to bother moving? And they're only going to move down the street. Stupid, right? But you know, Morgan Freeman, he always does a lot of good work, and so does Diane Keaton. So that they have this connection going on, and it's just interesting to see the dynamics in the relationship with each other, and their decision making process in terms of how they're going to move or where they're going to move, and then finally going, why do we even move? So anyhow, you know, even though that's the ending, there's still a lot of dynamics you don't know about, and which I think are interesting to watch. So that would be a good movie to watch. You want to just kick back and enjoy it. Elizabethtown with let me see. Orlando Bloom, Kirsten Dunst, Suzanne Sarandon, Alec Baldwin, Judy Greer, Jessica Biel. I mean, that had a lot of celebrities in that movie, and you know, Orlando Bloom's I think his father died. I can't remember. I believe his father died, but anyhow, so he's flying to go and they're gonna have him cremated. You know, the Susan Sarandon and Judy Greer are his mother and sister, and they want him to go over there and have him cremated, and then bring him back, and then they're gonna do their ceremony there. But they have this, you know, the father apparently is a bigwig. He knows just about everybody in town, and everybody is at the funeral, and you know, they get all pissed off because he wants to cremate him instead of burying him, and you know, all this drama goes on. In the meantime, he ends up hooking up with Kirsten Dunst, and who's a flight attendant, and now that was kind of weird, cheesy, because when do you ever find a flight attendant that will just come on to you and or anybody just sit there and talking all night long, right? You know, they got a job to do, right? So and yeah, they might sit down and talk to you for a little bit and just make comfort you or something or whatever. But anyhow, it was an interesting. At the very end, Orlando Bloom goes on a quest on a road trip, and it connects a lot of dots in terms of Kirsten Dunst's history, background history, and so anyhow, it's just a very it was an interesting movie. I still, even though there was a couple of cheesy parts in it, I still thought it was well worth watching. So Random Encounters. What is that movie about? Go watch it. Leave me alone. Oh, now this movie is it? Did I put? No, I think that's one thumb up. Oh, I did put it in there. Okay, no wonder. So I'm now moving into. I didn't find any movies that were so stupid that I couldn't even hardly finish watching them, or maybe I did, but and I just haven't mentioned them. I don't know. But if I did, I'm not mentioning them. But all Elizabethtown, I take it back. Even though I still think it's worth watching, but I still give it a one thumb up. Random encounters with Abby Wathan, Michael Rady, and Meghan Markle. Who's Meghan Markle? Do you know who Meghan Markle is? Duh. She's getting ready to have a baby, right? In the in the Royal Hospital pretty soon. I think it's going to be a boy, and I think it's going to be at the end of this month, like around 25th or 26th. That's what I think. But that's the second one. Anyhow, this guy is a producer or a writer. I think he's a writer, and he's meeting some people at this cafe, and this woman happens to get some coffee and spill some coffee on this guy, and blah blah blah, and they all of a sudden they just part ways, and they don't get each other's phone numbers. They have this moment where they kind of connect, and love at first sight type of thing, but they don't get each other's phone numbers or know where each other live, and they don't work there, so they look for each other. They can't, and they finally find each other, and anyhow, one thumb up. That's it. Captain Marvel, I gave a one thumb up. Again, how many heroes can you have, right? Duh. Now Starsky and Hutch. I thought I put that in the two thumbs up department. Maybe there was just some cheesy parts about it. He starts Starsky Hutch with Ben Stiller, Owen Wilson, Snoop Dogg, Vince Vaughn, Julia Lewis, Will Ferrell, Carmen Electra, Amy Smart, Jason Bateman, David Soul, Paul Michael Glaser, who were the original Starsky and Hutches. If you watch the original Starsky and Hutches series, you would know that this movie was okay, but compared to the series was more interesting and more action packed and just not as cheesy as this one. And it was cheesy in some parts, and I can't remember all the parts, but there were some parts that were cheesy, and oh, my hero, David, the private eye. Okay, fine, whatever. Anyhow, it's like that. RV with Robin Williams, Cheryl Hines, Jeff Daniels, Christian Chenoweth. Robin Williams is this executive, and he decides to take his family on a road trip in an RV that's rented, and it's just a lot of slapstick. Some of it was, there's some slapstick that's so stupid you just gotta laugh at it because it's so funny anyhow. And some of it was like that, and others just was just cheesy. So one thumb up. About time. Hang on, about time. What was about time? Domino Gleason, Rachel McAdams, Bill Nye, Lydia Wilson, Margot Robbie, Lindsay Duncan. Oh, again, this is about time travel, and the men of the family are able to squeeze their hand, and all of a sudden they go back in time to wherever, and they repeat the whole process over. If you look at what time travel really is all about, it's pretty cheesy, but it's interesting at some of the stuff that goes on, and it's also kind of funny too. A Dog's Way Home. Now that movie, I actually liked. It could have even been a two thumbs up almost, but it just came out this year. Ashley Judd, Jonah Howard, King, Bryce Dallas Howard, who's Now, Bryce Dallas Howard is Ron Howard's daughter, and she's the voice of the dog. And then Shelby, um, who's Bella. Shelby is the dog. Okay, and so the dog, the puppy is cute when they first get it, and then they have this thing, an environmentalist thing going on. Why can't they just pull all the animals out of there, and then the guy can just destroy the place so he can put a hotel there or house there or whatever. But some of the stuff just wasn't adding up. But there was some interesting special effects they put in there with the dog, and he and what happens is the dog grows up with all these cats, and this mother cat takes care of him, and then eventually when he gets out in the wilderness, he takes care of a cub of I think it was a mountain lion, or I can't remember. So they become friends, and the mountain lion grows up, and in the end, the mountain lion pays him back. And then finally, Bella, the dog, um, she finally makes it back to the original owner that pulled her out of this house that was condemned and was going to be torn down, or was torn down, but it was going to be demolished, and they were going to go to. But anyhow, it was okay. It was kind of a fun movie to watch, but it was still kind of cheap. Accidental Love, Jessica Biel, Beverly D'Angelo, Christiane, Jake Gyllenhaal, Catherine Keener, Kurt Fuller, Tracy Morgan, Melinda Williams, Bill Hader, James Marsden, and they had a lot of celebrities in this movie as well. And this was cheesy. This um, really cheesy. You know, this guy's Jessica Biel is involved with this cop, and he takes her to this restaurant because he's going to propose to her, and somehow some idiot is working on the restaurant there in the restaurant during dinner hours, right? When does that ever happen? And all of a sudden, he shoots this nail in her head, and you know, but they can't pay for it to be pulled out of her head, and she starts to get amnesia, all kinds of stuff. But why isn't the restaurant paying for it, and why don't they file a lawsuit? Duh, how stupid can that be? Whatever. So it was kind of interesting, but it was pretty cheesy too as well. So, that wraps it up for my monthly, my weekly, my yearly, I don't know, something, um, updates and critiques on these movies. Um, Again, happy Mother's Day for all y'all moms coming up. And Wesak, if you like done this meditation with me ever, then I've watched the introductory video that I've done put together on my website, spiritualimageproductions.com. Spiritualimageproductions.com. Go to the left-hand side. There's a link that says transmission meditation on the air. Click on that link, and that'll take you to the page. That'll give you all kinds of information on transmission meditation, and also the introductory video that I put together. And also Benjamin Krem's ebook on transmission meditation for the new age that you can read and check it out for yourself. Got any questions? Write me, email me, text me. You can try telepathy, but I don't know if I'll pick you up or not. You have to be really strong and really sure and precise and accurate. So that's the best advice. Anyhow, thanks for stopping by. Have a Goddess weekend. Be the love that you are. Wait, is there anything else? Hang on, there's one more thing. Relationships. Wow. And I don't know what else is out there that I need to play, but sometimes I'll figure it out, and sometimes I don't. I don't know. So anyhow, if you got anything that you want to tell me, get a hold of me. Have a God Goddess weekend. Be the love that you are. Always have been, and always will be. Aloha.